Great news, TYT is partnering with participant media to help solve the climate crisis, but we need your guys' help. Make sure you check out our series, 10 Days of Action, to learn more about what you can do to make a difference. And also go see an Inconvenient sequel, Truth to Power. It's in theaters nationwide right now. It has a really important message, and I want all of you guys to learn that and absorb it. It's very important. And look, if President Trump isn't gonna lead, then we should. And I believe in the American people, and I think we can do it. Already, the majority of Americans are on our side, and so are civic leaders, mayors, governors, and businesses, and they're all moving forward to stop climate change. So don't worry, guys, no single person can stop us. If we fight together, we can win. So I pledge to join the movement and hashtag #BeInconvenient. Go to inconvenientsequel.com/action to be part of the solution.
Donald Trump is using taxpayer money to employ staffers who only have one real responsibility: to gather positive news about him and then fetch him that information. All right, so recent reports indicate that there is a White House director of rapid response. His name is Andy Hemming, and he is paid $89,000 a year just to look for good stories about Donald Trump and then make sure it gets delivered to the president, who has the thinnest skin of anyone on the planet, literally the top special snowflake in this country. So
I gotta pause there because Anna made such a great point there. Think about how you have to be the snowflake of snowflakes to
I need positive.
Please, my feelings are hurt all the time by cable news. Please, somebody fetch me good news. Oh my God, I'm so special and tender. I don't want my feelings to be hurt. Please, somebody pay someone $89,000 a year just to fetch me good news about myself.
That is insane. I would be so incredibly embarrassed if the thought even crossed my mind. The fact that the most powerful person in the world is asking for this, who demands this. I mean, look, regardless of what your political ideology is, you have to admit that this is pretty pathetic. Let me give you more information though, okay? So news that he spends his day scouring radio, television, and the web for stories that celebrate the Trump agenda came from Trump's own allies. So this is information that was given by Trump's own allies. Jason Miller is one of those allies. He says, it's an important role. There's so much good news that's coming out of this administration that we have to continue pushing all of these positive messages ourselves to remind people there's a lot going on.
No, hold on. There's a couple of things there that are great. Number one, Jason Miller, very connected to the administration, obviously, was part of a huge part of Donald Trump's campaign. So they're not denying it. They admit that there is someone paid just to fetch good news for Donald Trump. Number two, remember, if they want to do, and I said even about Trump TV, you want to do your own propaganda, and let's not call it propaganda. You want to do marketing for yourself, no problem. But this is not going to the outside world. This is going to the commander in Snowflake.
No.
Okay,
this is
it goes
insane.
just to Trump. It's not for marketing purposes. It's just to make him feel better. He's like, oh, goody. Some people like me. Oh, that's so sad.
No, it gets better though. It gets so much better. Okay, so Vice spoke to 3 former White House staffers. I'm guessing these are individuals who might have gotten fired, but we don't know. They didn't disclose their information. And then 1 current White House staffer. And here is some more information that we know about Donald Trump and his demands for positive news coverage delivered to him. So apparently he gets a folder full of positive news about himself twice a day, one at 9:30 in the morning and then another at 4:30 in the morning. The folders are filled with, just pay attention, please, you're gonna love this. So the folders are filled with screenshots of positive cable news chyrons, okay? Admiring tweets, transcripts of fawning TV interviews, praise-filled news stories, and sometimes, just pictures of Trump on TV looking powerful.
Oh my God. Okay, so these packets, you know how normally he needs tweet-sized information? We just did a story yesterday about when briefing him on Afghanistan, they have to keep it to half a page because he can't concentrate. These packets are 20 to 25 pages, twice a day. When it's about him, he's like, oh, look at that picture of me. I look so good. Oh, that's the saddest thing I've ever heard. Oh my God, if somebody here at TYT said, Cenk, my job, and you're gonna have to pay me $89,000 for this, is to make a folder of you looking good and positive tweets about you, and your pictures while you look commanding. It's the most pathetic thing I've ever heard. Of course I wouldn't want, which person who doesn't have the most fragile ego you've ever heard, the biggest snowflake in American history, wouldn't be disgusted by that.
Look, we know that Trump is the way he is, and he fires off at anyone who criticizes him or has anything negative to say, fires off on Twitter on a regular basis. But for me, I think it's fascinating, and I guess unsurprising, that people are willing to take that job, right? I get it, $89,000 a year is a lot of money, but how do you live with yourself? Like, how do you look at yourself in the mirror when you wake up in the morning and say, yeah, I succeeded, I'm doing something with my life. Like, you are stroking the ego of the largest snowflake in existence, right? And I don't know how you live with yourself, but anyway, there's more information in regard to what's going on. It's amazing. So another component is the one and only note that the communications department in the White House got in regard to these folders. Apparently the only note was, it needs to be more fucking positive.
Okay, there's every layer of the story is fantastic. Sarah Huckabee Sanders, talking about the guy that prepares the folder, says Andy does an incredible job of finding those hidden gems. In other words, there's almost no positive news. He's got to find hidden gems because there isn't any positive news to report, and they know it. That's the White House press secretary. Then there's one person who's more pathetic, or two in the past. It's Reince Priebus and Sean Spicer. They apparently used to compete to deliver the folder to Trump, because they know that Trump is a man-child, and that whoever gives him positive news, he's like, oh, okay, oh, Sean gave me the folder. Oh, I like Sean more now.
Yeah.
I like Sean more. Oh.
No. So this current White House staffer is the one who made this statement. He says Priebus and Spicer weren't in a good position, and they wanted to show that they could provide positive coverage. It was self-preservation. How'd that work out for you?
And it didn't work either anyway, right? Because they were in a competition to kiss his ass to hand him the folder. Internally at White House, somebody who works at the White House says it was called the propaganda document. They know it. They're not denying it. Miller's not denying it. Sanders isn't. Then you go to Sean Spicer and they said, hey, Sean, there's this story. He says, while I won't comment on materials we share with the president, this is not accurate on several levels. In other words, it exists. I won't comment on it. If it didn't exist, he'd be like, that's an outrageous fake news story, right? No, we never gave him the propaganda document. He says, well, I won't comment on it. In other words, it exists. It's inaccurate on several levels, not all levels. Okay, dude, in other words, most of the story is true. Okay.
You know what's incredible to me? That Spicer doesn't go Django Unchained. Right?
But they might be, Annie. So
you think that they might be the leakers?
Oh, totally. That's why I said when he fired Reince Priebus, he in a lot of ways made a terrible mistake. Reince Priebus has all this dirt saved up from 7 months, and he doesn't mind leaking at all. So Spicer and Priebus are sitting out there, let alone now close to a dozen people who've been shivved by Donald Trump after they gave him loyalty. And they're like, oh, that's a shame. Maybe I should call Politico. Maybe I should call the New York Times. Maybe I should call this guy and that guy.
You're probably right. Obviously, we're speculating as to whether or not they're the leakers. But I would go the more savage route. And instead of leaking, I would come out and be like, guess what? I worked for Donald Trump. Here's what goes on. Oh, I don't agree with Sean Spicer or Reince Priebus on a plethora of issues. And I can't even say that I like them as people, but I would certainly have much more respect for them if they came out, stopped defending him publicly and then maybe secretly stabbing him in the back, just publicly came out and said, yeah, he's a man-child, I made a horrible mistake.
I know, but they're sleazy politicians. They work in politics. They're not going to do that because then they'll lose Trump voters for the rest of their lives, and they won't be able to get jobs as Republican Party officials or working for donors or anything like that. So
Trump's going to lose Trump supporters at some point. Okay?
I know, and by the way, if they think it is to their advantage to do it publicly, that is the minute that they will knife him publicly.
That's true.
Okay. Final thing for you guys is that. Former RNC official also admits, yes, there's the propaganda document. Yes, it's just filled with pictures of Trump looking good, according to him, and positive tweets and nonsense. But he says, but maybe it's good for the country that the president is in a good mood in the morning. Just when you thought it couldn't get any sadder. if you're a conservative out there and you think you're an alpha male and you supported an alpha male,
God, that's such a good point.
this is the biggest beta move of all time. Okay, but I need emotional support. I need to feel good in the morning. Can you get me good tweets? Oh, your snowflake is melting.